Hi, it's Mrs. Golding. Let's talk about this week's Graph of the Week. This is Graph of the Week 21, and it's due January 22nd. So, again, some of the things that we want to talk about when you're writing this, I want you to talk about what you wonder, what you notice, what you think. So, those are some of the things. It's not just reporting the facts. Sir, but it's more than the facts. It's what does it mean to you? So does it have any impact on you? So today, or this week, we're talking about plastics in our oceans. And so both of these graphs talk about plastics in our oceans. And so this is an important subject because this is all of our planet, right? And we have to take care of it. And so it's important to be informed about what's happening because it's really easy to just, I don't generally get to see the ocean. And so I don't even think about what's in the ocean that maybe I have contributed to. So it's important for us to think about it. Okay, so the small print, I always tell you, read the small print. This says, the big print says, the pathway by which plastic enters the world's oceans. Estimates of global plastics entering the oceans from land-based sources in 2010 based on the pathway from primary production through the marine plastic inputs. I'm doing a video.
You really thought I would love.
I'm doing a video.
Oh, I thought you like pausing.
No, I'm not pausing. Hold on. Okay. So we've got okay. So it's like a bar graph, right? And so a bar graph gives us a visual image of kind of how often things occur, how prevalent something is. And so this green bar says global primary plastic production. So this is what is being actually produced. And do you see that word? I don't actually know how to say it. I think it's tons. It's certainly not tonnes, is it? Tonnes. But I had to look it up because I was unfamiliar with that. But I put this little graphic here. Tons is another word for metric tons instead of the imperial ton. So this is the British ton, which is like what we use. It's the American or imperial measurements. They also call it a long ton. Well, I don't know why. It doesn't have anything to do with length. And then this ton, Tonne, is a metric ton, and it looks to be just slightly smaller. Sorry, I think I said that wrong. British ton and metric ton, and then a short ton is the U.S. ton. All I know is that in what I learned, and I'm assuming it's the U.S. ton, is 2,000 pounds. So, not that we could ever be consistent throughout the world on anything, but it looks like it's a little more than 2,000 pounds. So there's a lot of plastic that is produced each year. That is how some of it is getting into our oceans. Then there's the yellow bar, which is a little taller. This is plastic waste. So it says it can exceed primary production in a given year since it can incorporate production from previous years. So this is actual waste. We think about things like water bottles, but there's a lot more than that, right? There's straws and the things that hold our drinks together, bags, plastic bags. The orange bar is coastal plastic waste. So it's a little less. This is the total plastic waste generated by a population within 50 kilometers of a coastline. So living on the coast, so East Coast, West Coast, or whatever it may be. Mismanaged coastal plastic waste. Again, here's this color, this other reddish-orange color. This is annual sum of inadequately managed and littered plastic waste from coastal populations. Inadequately managed waste is that which is stored in open or insecure landfills and therefore at risk of leakage or loss. So, landfills are things where we put our trash. It's unfortunate that we have a lot of those, but some of them are created in such a way that things can escape. Not like they run off, but birds can get to them, or the wind, or even the water if they're too close to water. Then this little one says plastic inputs to the oceans 8 million tons per year. Now, I know it looks like that's a tiny thing, but 8 million tons, that is a lot. That's directly put into the ocean. So let's look here at what it says. Plastic in surface waters, 10,000 to 100,000 tons. There is a wide range of estimates of the quantity of plastics in surface waters. It remains unclear where the majority of plastic input ends up. A large quantity might accumulate at greater depths or on the sea floor. And so what that's saying is you've seen I think they call it the garbage patch in the ocean, where it's just this huge, because of all of the tides and the drift, they've kind of conglomerated in this huge, a massive amount of garbage, and most of it's plastic that's floating on the surface. Well, what we don't see is the stuff that's underneath the surface, and so there's a lot more. So this first graph shows us this is definitely a problem. It gives us kind of the amounts, and it tells us where we're getting most of this from. So the idea of just plastic waste. I wonder how recycling affects this. How much recycling would have to happen to really kind of turn this around? It would have to be millions upon millions of tons of recycling. I know we're doing that in our community, but I know also some of our recycling places are down. I used to take my recycling to ISU or to Goodwill, and they're not accepting recycling anymore because of COVID. So things like that, I wonder where I can take my recycling in town, right? So those are things you can talk about. Or I wonder why recycling has anything to do with COVID. Like, why can't we still do recycling? Okay, so the second graph says plastic can take 500 years to biodegrade in the ocean. So while the first graph was talking about the sources of the plastic, this is talking about how long it takes to biodegrade. And biodegrade means to break down and become something that's not hurtful to the environment anymore. And so it says estimated number of years for selected items to biodegrade in a marine environment. Marine means it's of the water. Okay. So a cigarette butt, 10 years. Okay. And I'm assuming these are years. Yes. Years. Does it say that anywhere? So one of your I wonders is, I wonder why you didn't put the unit of years. I suppose it's implied because it's in the title. A plastic can take 500 years to biodegrade. Okay. Grocery bags. All right. I sure have a lot of those. Have you heard of things that people are doing to reuse those? There's a group in town that, I don't know if it's weaving or crocheting or whatever it is, but they somehow make mats for the homeless with them. That's great. I wonder what kind of projects we could do to keep some of these things out of landfills and out of the ocean. Styrofoam cups, aluminum cans, 200 years. Plastic beverage holder, that's just those plastic things that your cans are held together with. A disposable diaper, 450 years. So do you know anybody who chooses to use cloth diapers because of this? I tried it. I was not very successful with that. So I have to be honest, I have 4 kids and I must have contributed a lot to the landfills. Plastic bottles, I do try to use a reusable container when I can. 450 years. I found this one interesting. Fishing line, 600 years. in order to biodegrade. So, okay, so think about your I wonders. Think about how it applies to you. How does it apply to our community? And give me a really good response. Just 7 sentences will be great. All right. Have a wonderful day and do your part to make our world a better place.